Yo, what is up, guys? How nice to hear back this week. Joined again by MatthewKite.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Really excited. A lot of really fun games that we had this week.
So we're gonna dive right into it and try to keep the PRs to 20 minutes. So at number 16 we have Blake.
All right, so I guess in the interest of time, I won't go too much over Blake's because I do have kind of a lot of stuff to say about his opponent. But Blake's team really just kind of got blown back by Kabutops this turn. He had a few kind of mispredicts with the Arcanine, which was really kind of cost him during the end game. But like I said, really kind of the holes poked by the Kabutops were just kind of too big to kind of really be sustainable into the end stages of the game. But Blake is going to be here, bottom of our list with a 2-5 record.
Right, and Blake's the first team with only 2 wins on the season, and he's definitely looking like to be in relegation range. And I thought he started off the season pretty strong, very aggressive plays that controlled his opponents. It seems like he's been losing that, and it seems like he's not landing the predictions that need to go with this style. So definitely like to see him land more predictions, pick up some more games, and get out of this relegation zone. So that being said, at number 15 we have Chris.
Okay, so Chris, his opponent, as promised, we have him at number 15. We actually get to see Rain, which I'm pretty sure is like the first time we saw it this season, which is really cool. What I actually really think is pretty cool about this draft in general is kind of the dual nature of the draft. You never really know what you're going to face. We saw this because kind of winning his game versus Aster, he kind of forced a little bit of prep there versus a lot of things. I'm a little bit of meh with the kind of contradictory nature between the weather setters, but I like seeing someone who can kind of be able to kind of micromanage these contradictions. A few really big things right here. Chris played really well around the Arcanine, like really, really well, I would say. It's weird because as a fire type, you wouldn't realistically expect that to be a very good Pokemon in a rain matchup, but Arcanine was actually pretty fantastic right here. Is able to wild charge, a Pelipper potentially, beats down Ferrothorn Scizor, and even can get that kind of last minute Intimidate off on the Kabutops. But like I said, Chris kind of played around that Mom, which was pretty big. The other thing was Ferrothorn was just such an annoyance this game with that berry in the back. So, like I said, we really get to see why steel types like Ferrothorn and Scizor thrive in the rain environment, because we really see them take a lot more fire type attacks than you would regularly see them take. But Chris, of course, going to be here 2-5 record as well.
Right, and this is the first game that Chris has won since taking over his team. He came in at 1-3. He's now 2-5. And I said when he first joined that I thought he was really going to push the bottom to pick up wins to stay out of relegation zone. And I think here this week he's proven it. I think he's picking up steam, and in future weeks he'll continue to win and really push the bottom to play well. So that being said, at number 14 we have Riz.
All right, so Riz dropped out, so I really shouldn't say very much about this, but there's something inside me that just really wants to kind of go on a little bit of a rant right here. This game really made me angry to watch. Fear Aaron got 3 kills, and this can't be happening, fam. So, okay, I tried to look up Trev's team to see kind of what he brought kind of for myself, but I don't think he uploaded, so I can't be for sure about what he had to actually deal with it. But come on, you're telling me Riz didn't have one single way to prevent this? Not a single way to not lose 3 Pokemon, or at least, if nothing else, kind of not a single way to kind of outstall the sand. Like, come on. I mean, okay, he had a ground type, and he was more than willing to trade it off at the very beginning of the game, which is, I mean, you see Aaron in T preview, what do you expect he's going to do? Not only that, but if the Snorlax had Recycle, that's another option that he had that he didn't use. So, I don't know. This game just made me really, really angry to watch because it shouldn't have worked as well as it did. But Riz is going to be here with a 2-5 record as well.
Right, and Riz dropped. He was replaced by Zazo. So we'll definitely see how Zazo does on the season, and if he can also push the bottom to pick up more wins and stay out of relegation zone. So that being said, at number 13, we have Ace.
Ace of Base, number 13. Ace got some pretty unfortunate turns against the Tornadus. Pretty funny to see Tornadus 1v1 in Napoleon with just basically Hurricane. Like I said, it's unfortunate because getting up Suicide Rocks would have put Ace in a fantastic position. Sure, his opponent could probably defog in something maybe like Togeous later, but there would have been a lot of turns and a lot of switches that would take place in between that. The main thing for me this game was that he got a lot of offensive plays wrong and ended up playing kind of on the back foot into the later portions of the game. And playing against a team that has a lot of choice restrictions, I think there's 3 Scarpers. The main advantage that you have is obviously that they're going to be locked into moves for the majority of the time, which in turn means that they're going to be forced to switch a lot. And as a player, playing against this type of team, your opportunities to get ahead derive entirely on your ability to either deny these attacks by correctly predicting what move they're going to lock themselves into, or deny these switches that you're going to be forcing by punishing whatever comes in. And realistically speaking, yeah, he needed the rocks to be able to really do that, but in ignoring the shenanigans we saw with the Empoleon, we see him superpower into the Bikini, we see him grass knot into the Bikini. Sure, he needed rocks, but he also needed to be able to call some of these plays, so a little bit of a better record than our two previous people with 3-4 record.
Right, and since starting off strong, Ace has also been similar to Moxie, where he's been on the losing more games as of recently compared to the strong opening that he's had. And I've said a few times now that he definitely looks to gain advantages with an Empoleon, and when he gains the advantage with the Empoleon, he's able to be successful and close out games. So I definitely like to see him, now that opponents seem to be trying to shut down his Empoleon, to find something else to gain advantages through. I know he has been on the receiving end of hacks a few times. I hope he becomes a little more fortunate, able to play through different threats and pick up some more wins, because he is also falling dangerously close to relegation zone. So that being said, at number 12, we have Cheese.
So Cheese bringing the air on Cheese. Obviously, I just want to reiterate that I really didn't like this game this week, but I talked about that way too much in Riz's analysis, so I'm really going to try to focus here on the good. So here's the thing. Cheese, he decided to really try to commit to this Aaron gimmick, which it was a gimmick, let me say that. But again, I think it's a little bit premature to kind of put all your eggs in this basket of a Mon that kind of face competition from stuff like Scald Burns, Swampert not dying to sand, even random things like Fake Out or Sleep Powder. But the point is, this was the route he decided to take, and he made sure to support that. It's not often you see support Hallucha, but it actually really works here, and I love that. Despite all the grievances I have with this game, I really like the idea of support Hallucha in that situation. I'm a person who truly believes that deep down, any Pokemon has the potential to be a support Mon under the right circumstances, given the right matchup, and I love seeing people not be afraid to give that role to an offensive Mon. So like I said, we see this Hallucha being very easy, it's able to very easily, keep that sturdy intact, keep hazards off the field. So you get the good and you get the bad in this game. She's going to be coming out here with a 3-4 record as well.
Right, with so many teams, I believe 10 teams being either 3 or 4 and 4 and 3. As I said, in week 5, Cheese is going to win more games, and we're seeing now that Cheese is definitely in playoff contention. So it's really crazy how he's able to start off the season like 0 and 3 and still be in playoff contention. But he's been picking up wins. This is his second straight win. He's playing a lot better, and he's definitely pushing the pace. Definitely looking to make playoffs. So with that being said, at number 11, we have Adam.
All right, Adam the Bee's Knees. This was actually a real emotional roller coaster of a replay for me, because honestly, for the first majority of the game, it really looked to me like Adam was losing, and not only losing, but losing decisively. He lost to Superior very prematurely, I would say, and not only that, but he didn't even try to commit to the setup with that Superior. We see him kind of interspace Dragon Pulses with the Leaf Storms, and obviously, I guess you can argue that he's to try to catch something like Talonflame and stuff, but still, feels to me like he wasn't even trying to commit to the setup in general. Now, not only that, but after the Stone Edge miss, I just had a really hard time continuing to watch this game because it felt like it was over. Now, here's the thing. Before I get into the end game, we see something pretty amazing, and I don't know if it's a mistake or some hard counter read, but the hydration Vaporeon was it was crazy. And really, this is one of the main flaws that I personally found on Vaporeon in the League format. It's very easy to take advantage of it with a move like Skill Swap or something like that. Hell, I've taken advantage of Vaporeons in the past with stuff like Skill Swap and something like Gengar even. So it's really nice that Adam kind of realized the liability of his own ability. See what I did right there. But in that matchup, I really like that. And basically, he was able to kind of get rid of the Diancie because of his opponent kind of relying on the Water Absorb. So I really like that. And like I mentioned, it really seemed like Adam was losing, and then he turned this around very quickly, and we see Verd start to struggle with this Vaporeon Hippo defensive core. And the struggle, it turned out to eventually be his downfall, and he came out with a pretty big win right here. Even after that, though, he's just going to be sitting here at a 3-4 record as well.
Right, I can't confirm that the hydration was intentional. This was definitely a big win for Adam to keep his playoff chances alive, as he's had to struggle a bit for the past few weeks. So that being said, at number 10, we have Trev.
All right, Trev, let's get into this. So typically, I'm a huge advocate for Substitute. Okay, it's one of my favorite moves. I love Sub, particularly on offensive mons, especially mons that are slow, even mons that are fast like Gengar. I'm a huge advocator for Substitute, and I never like criticizing that. But in this game, we see that the best attack the Mawile had to hit that Venusaur was Play Rough, and that's a little bit concerning to me. You know, in the building phase that you're going to have to deal with a Mega Venusaur, and realistically speaking, you know that that's a Pokemon that they're most likely going to be used to kind of try to check your Mawile in general. And if you have room for Sub, then you have room for an attack that can hit the Venusaur. So anyway, continuing on that point, we see that it's not just the Mawile that struggles to respond to this Mon. Trev's entire team had a really difficult time dealing with that Mon just in general. And for the same reasons that Venusaur was kind of a defensive powerhouse, Kartana was similarly an offensive powerhouse in this game, and Trev offered little to no resistance to kind of the grass duo right here. Maybe if he put a little less time prepping for the Dugtrio, because we see a lot of Shed Shell right here. I'm not really complaining about that, but I'm just saying maybe if you put a little less time prepping for that Dugtrio and a little bit more time prepping for those Mons in particular, he might have done a little bit better. But regardless, this is what happened for him, and he obviously is going to be here with a 3-4 record as well.
Right, and Trev's also the second coach that just dropped, so now we have Dallas Boy replacing him, so we'll definitely see how Dallas does. So yeah, we don't talk about that too much. Number 9, we have David.
So David's a cool guy. He's a cool lad, and here's the thing: I'm not completely sold on Curse over Power Punch. I really don't. I'm not a huge fan of the idea. I get that you bypass Rocky Helmet, which realistically speaking is kind of most players they use that as kind of their sole method of beating Mega Kangaskhan, kind of via that residual damage. But losing out on that speed versus the Nidoking, especially in this matchup, it's a little bit concerning for me. And then there's kind of the other thing, obviously, is there's a monumental difference between +1 and +2. This being most notable, obviously, when he tries to crunch that Celesteela and doesn't even drop it below half. And that's not even just a crunch. That's a +1 crunch and a +1 Drain Punch. And it's not even able to drop it below half. That being said, we get to see the sheer versatility of Greninja, and I love Greninja, and I love being able to see it like this. It low kicks those specially defensive walls who are hoping to beat it down 1v1. It gets up spikes from Protect, and in this game, it revenge kills that Mimikyu as it tries to go for that sweep. We have the priority. We have a lot of stuff going for it right here. Real talk though, right here, a lot of hacks this game, and I don't really agree with kind of the outrage that a lot of the hacks got. Like, he burned the Licky Licky after he'd scalded it twice, so that's not hacks. He crit the Lottie, but the Lottie died to crunch anyways, so that's not really a thing for me anyways. And he crit the Licky Licky who healed up anyways. I guess he pretty much lost a turn, but I'm still a little bit iffy right there. He crit the Nidoking who died to Scald. But anyways, here's the thing, okay? I wanted to do a little bit of a preface about hacks. Anybody who brings Sing deserves to miss, okay? Just like Hypnosis. That's my policy. If you bring Sing, if you bring Hypnosis, you deserve to have those moves miss, okay? I hate people bringing those moves, and I hate people bringing those moves and having it work for them. Honestly, like I said, I consider that hacks to me. But anyways, that just kind of annoyed me. It was still kind of an interesting game all around, and yeah, Magic's going to be at a 3-4 record as well.
Right, so right now David's out here slaying legends. He decides he only wins against the biggest of threats, and he means necessary, and he won't win against anyone else. So I don't actually know what that means for his playoff chances. If you're good, you lose to David, and if you don't, if you beat David, that actually means you're bad. So yeah, that's how David's playing this season. So that being said, at number 8 we have
Greg. So this was a big game this week. Both Gypsy and Greg being kind of fan favorites. So it was a spectator spectacle, I guess you could say. We've seen it in the past. Gypsy really likes leading off with the Garchomp. And I mean, Garchomp is a pretty solid lead, just period. So Greg leading off with the air balloon stack attack was actually very smart lead for him. But that's where the good things basically stop for him. We get to see this game why Suicune is so much more fearsome in a league environment than it is on the ladder. Greg has a Celebi and a Toxicroak, and normally you might assume that these mons can deal with the Suicune on their own, or if nothing else, can deal with it in tandem. But then, bam, we see the signal need, we see the extra sensory, and suddenly this Suicune isn't looking so passive anymore. This game was really an uphill battle for him from turn 1, from the get-go. After the lead, which I said was very favorable. But anyways, if he was able to beat down the Suicune, he would have had to then find a way to deal with that Egg Slash. If he then somehow found a way to deal with that Egg Slash and that Suicune, then suddenly he has to find a way to deal with the Medicham. And what happens if he gets past that mon? Nihilego was just waiting for his turn to kind of just get up and go. So I don't discredit Greg for this loss. I really don't. But it's just really a testament, I think, to kind of the power of the draft that Gypsy had. So Greg, unfortunately, going to be dropping here to a 3-4 record as well.
Right, and that 3-4 record's coming off the back of 3 straight losses, so it's definitely a struggle from Greg. I think this game definitely showed that he has been struggling the past 2 games to pick up wins, close out games, and really just decisively put away his opponents like he did in the beginning of the season that we were hyping him up for. So definitely want to see him get back to his winning ways, see him put away his opponents, and identify his win cons a little bit better and execute it. So yeah, that being said, at number 7, we have
Dan's Crobat for the win. This was actually a really cool game. Really cool thing actually about this entire week is it's probably got some of the best games of the season so far. But anyways, I initially thought that Crobat had actually choked in this early game away by weakening his Lantern so much. Like I said, I was just really waiting for this Thunderous to kind of come in, rev up, and kind of start plowing through the team. But as the game really develops, we start to see kind of the genius of the prep that Crobat brought. And at first glance, I might not really sound kind of all that impressive to say that he brought like Triple Scarf, but it was actually a really smart bring. So all 3 of his Scarfers completely denied the setup opportunities that his opponent might try to take advantage of. And I'm talking kind of more specifically about that Gallade and that Thunderous. Those are the 2 big ones right here. And we actually see like Icicle Spear on the Mamoswine, which was fantastic. I loved it. Obviously, being able to kind of completely bypass that Yachi Berry, which was what his opponent brought. So I loved the prep this week. And really, Crobat for the win, in my opinion, is actually one of the most underrated players in the league right here. He has proven kind of time and time again that he's a very competent when it comes to the building phase. I kind of think that's his strong suit. That's where he feels most comfortable, is in that building phase. And that's really one of the main ingredients you need to kind of be a good battler in the format. That being said, he's going to be the first on our list with a 4-3 record.
Right, and Crobat, yeah, he definitely played this game well. He executed his win cons well. And we see him bringing a lot of threats and using them well, like the Victini and the Mamoswine that he has used pretty well all season long. For me, I would rank him higher, but he's been a little shaky against the people we have above him. So I definitely like to see him gain a little more consistency, play a little better, and then pick up wins, because that's what he's going to need to do when we get time for playoffs. Assuming that he makes playoffs. So that being said, at number 6, we have...
So Verd being just shy of the top 5. Building kind of onto what I said on Adam's analysis, the moment in this game where I realized Verd was going to have some problems was when I realized he didn't have Taunt on Hydreigon. This was a big turn. Not a big turn, but a big kind of realization for me, I guess, as a spectator. I love the versatility that Hydreigon offers in terms of kind of raw, as kind of a raw support mon, but the breaking potential, it should never be overlooked. It really shouldn't. And I think Verd was realistically only a few movesets away from very cleanly winning this game. And I think he just put way too much reliance on that skill swap Diancie as kind of his premier way of stopping that Vaporeon. And like we see this because, like I said, not only is there no taunt, but the shaming goes down very early. So Verd really had so much potential to pull through at the end there, but he really needed to get rid of that Hippo, get rid of that Vaporeon. And once that happened, the doors were open for Gengar. The doors was open for Talonflame. Hell, even the door was open for the Diancie if it was not trying to still swap the Scald, obviously, or even Necrozma. So, like, again, I think the hydration really caught him off guard, and his prep relied on that skill swap working, and I never liked the idea of kind of relying on your opponent to do something, you know? But anyways, all in all, I really want to make it clear that I think he's great at building. I think he played well, and what he brought was kind of, like, he played good with what he brought, but like I said, I think he was really missing the tools to kind of break open this game, make it an open game, and kind of close it out at the end stages. That being said, he is, of course, going to be a 4-3 record as well.
Right, and this thing is definitely just an off game for Verd. You said he had the over-reliance on the skill swap Diancie, and I think this was about the second, I think this is the second week he brought it. It might be the first. Definitely the second time I've heard about it. So, again, over-reliance on it, on his tech. He has relied on his tech in the past and has worked. hopefully in the upcoming weeks that his tech will start working again, and he'll be able to close out games more decisively. So that being said, at number 5, we
So
have
Matty, I said a lot about his opponent, so I don't want to get too much into the game right here. I guess one kind of thing is, I mean, I understand the Nidoking set to a certain extent, but I feel like it matched up against Magic's team kind of so offensively well that I kind of would have liked to see a little bit more offensive, a set that was a little bit more offensive. It matches up so well versus Skarmory, versus Incineroar, versus Primarina, versus Jolteon that can kind of secure a kill, where it didn't really this game. Anyways, I felt that he kind of struggled because he was kind of lacking that extra offensive presence. I think it felt like he was playing very much defensively with how he was having to switch around on that Primarina a lot. And the other thing is, obviously, he ended up actually, I think, really overthinking things with the Primarina at the end. Instead of just going for damage, he ended up getting burned for his efforts. It's really, like, it's something worth saying, I guess, but I feel like he would have just straight up won the game, like, no questions asked, game was over, if he just attacked into the Primarina with the Mimikyu on that turn. But that's not what happened for him, unfortunately. So he is going to be here at a 4-3 record as well.
Right, and I think when you if you want to take a look at Matty Brawl compared to Gypsy, we see that Gypsy constantly puts away his opponents in a decisive manner, and we just don't see that from Matty. So this has been something that I've been saying a lot I want to see from Matty, because I have high expectations of Matty. I want to see him decisively beat his opponents, and beat them, just overall beat them like you see Gypsy do. And when you're playing your win con into a situation where it has to take a Scald Burn, or take a Scald and risk a burn, that's definitely not decisively putting them away. And if the burn happens, it happens. You definitely gotta avoid that situation. So going forward, I think Matty Brawl's got talent, but I don't think he's really fully using the talent, if that makes any sense. I think he could be putting away his opponents a lot more than he is, and he's just not. So that's definitely something I want to see from him in the future weeks. That being said, at number 4, we have Narth.
So Merc actually played, in comparison to kind of some of his older games, I actually think he played pretty safely this week, which, like I say, it's pretty interesting kind of in comparison, because he's the person who's kind of well known to really like to be the person to pull the trigger, to make flashy plays. He really likes to do that. So it's kind of refreshing to see him kind of identify when he can just play safely for a win, not choke away a game on being a flashy, unnecessary play. So it's interesting to see that. Something else really kind of small, just I want to talk about a set, is I like the Sleep Powder on the Venusaur. Now, here's the thing. Venusaur is one of those mons that you would always love to bring Sleep Powder on every game that you can. But much like Roserade, it often finds itself just not having enough room on the moveset when you factor in stuff like Synthesis, when you factor in stabs, when you factor in coverage moves. That being said, obviously, anytime you can fit Sleep Powder onto a set, it's incredibly useful, and we certainly see that right here, because it was incredibly useful this game. That being said, Merc, much like everyone in this kind of ballpark on the list, is at a 4-3 record.
Right, and I like the game that I saw from Merc this week. I think he did a good job controlling the game, and I think when he's able to control the game, that's really the style that he tries to play, and when it works, when he builds right, predicts right, it's really fun to watch. So that's why I have a number 3 on this list, or we have a number 3 on this list. I don't have too much to say about Merc. He's been a little bit, as everyone else on this list, being a 4-3, he's really shown that he hasn't competed with Gypsy or Aster yet. They definitely seem to be way above the pack. But with that being said, at number 3 we have Rob.
Alright, so contrary to what the comment section might tell you, yes, we do have Rob at number 3. Now, there's not a whole heck of a lot that I really think Rob realistically could have done differently this game, honestly, in terms of the in-game. I'm not talking really in terms of building, but short of kind of switching around on a +2/+2 Cloister to scout moves, there's, like I said, there's not really very much I really would have faulted him on for not doing. And like I said, really, you never want to be in a situation where your way of winning is switching around on a mon that can OHKO everything. So, like I said, I don't want to get too much into this analysis because I'm saving it for Aster's analysis, but I will say that this was a really difficult matchup for him based on specifically what Aster brought. And kind of, I guess, a neat thing to say is we see Articuno again, which, if nothing else, it's kind of neat to see again. So, Rob, last person with a 4-3 record.
Right, and losing to Aster, seems like everyone else has been this season too. Aster's on a tear, so don't fault him too much for that. definitely he's got Gypsy coming up week 10. I'm definitely interested to see how he does that match. The current rate of things, that match might be playoff deciding for him, so it's definitely going to be interesting. He started off the season really strong, 3-0. He's lost it a little bit. He showed good signs against Blake. And after Aster, I hope in the upcoming weeks he picks it back up, starts controlling games and dominating teams. With that being said, at number 2, we have...
Alright, so into the top 2 right here, and all I can say about this game is happy feet, wombo combo. Okay, so this is easily replay of the week for me. You don't see stuff like this every week, and man, seeing things like this reminds me of why I love this format so much. You get this opportunity to create these synergies and develop these strategies that you would never see on the ladder. This synergy, like, it was amazing in the team builder, and it's amazing when you see it in action. Terrain boosted, shell smash boosted, HP electric. Amazing. Nothing short of fantastic. People always forget about the support potential of Tapu Koko. They really do. But this game, it gets to put that Mon in the spotlight in that moveset. Sure, Cloyster got the kills, but this was Tapu Koko's rodeo. This combo wombo, it's perfect because it tailored specifically for Poké TCG gamers, for his team. TCG has literally one Koko switch in, and only one, and that's Excadrill. And Excadrill, it gives Cloyster the perfect opportunity to shell smash. We even have screens, if I'm not mistaken, as a way to further support that. And this obviously, you know, Cloyster in versus Excadrill, this obviously forces in the Slowbro to answer this. And it's going to be coming in while terrain is up. There's nothing he can do to stop that. Awesome stuff. All I gotta say is Aster really raised his own bar right here. He's going to have a really tough time topping his own game in a future matches. That being said, 6-1, fantastic record, and yeah.
Yeah, he definitely is topping his own bar in the beginning of the season. I thought he was a little bit questionable. I didn't know. He was winning games, but I didn't know if he was really the top of the top. And throughout the season, he's really been proving that he is a step above of the rest of the pack, with only one man being in front of him as we have him at number 2. So definitely great things from Aster. Very exciting prep and play. Can't wait to see him continue and see how the rest of his season unfolds and if he's able to keep up this tear. So that being said, the only person in front of him, number 1.
Alright, so no surprise to anybody, Gypsy at number 1. Honestly, I always struggle when it comes to talking about Gypsy's games right here, so I'm going to pretend that his analysis is short in the interest of time. But Gypsy does what he always does, and he makes this game look easy. His confidence with the mons he drafts, along with his willingness to kind of keep the sets interesting, keep the sets fluid, it's what really puts him ahead. Everything on his team is just kind of a small cog in a greater machine, all working towards something great, something beautiful, that end victory. I really like it. So, again, I'm sorry that I don't have much to say about Gypsy. He's going to be kind of our last player on the list, almost undefeated, along with Aster being a person, of course, obviously with a 6-1 record.
Yeah, at this point, Gypsy's just on the list because it's like a formality. We have like nothing to say about Gypsy King. He's number 1. He doesn't play Aster in the regular season, I don't believe. So I'm definitely excited. I definitely want to see them two play in the playoffs. You know, Gypsy King's been tearing through people, making it look easy in really decisive fashions, and Aster's been playing well, picking it up, and also picking up more decisive wins. So definitely, I want to see them clash. Definitely the two hottest so far in the season. It'll be cool to see if anyone can challenge those two the rest of the season, but definitely a game I'm looking forward to. So with that being said, that is the end of our power rankings. Let us know if you agree, disagree. It was definitely very interesting this week, considering that 10 teams were either 3-4 and 4-3. So it opens up the door completely for playoffs. I think even teams 2 and 5 still have a chance to make it in. Do you have any final remarks?
Honestly, I think this is probably my favorite week that I've been able to look over so far. You guys have been doing a fantastic job. I really hope you guys keep it up because, like I said, the bar has been raised for more than just one person this week. There's been so many fantastic games. So yeah, keep up the great work, and I look forward to coming back next week.
Definitely, the bar's been raised. The games are fantastic. The pace is being pushed. Definitely crunch time. So we'll definitely see you guys next week. We'll see how people develop and what the current situation is, and then. So later, guys.